Yeah,
And
I don't know. I like it.
all right, and we're going live.
I like it.
We are now live. Live. El Palco de Honor, number 34. 34, remember? Liga 34?
Oh, that number means a lot right now. You know,
Woo!
it's a number that should burn a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. For those of you that don't know, I mean, you should. If you're a Madridista, you definitely should. But before we get into that, let's get a little official business here. We have Cesar Orozco, Vice Chairman of Peña Madridista, San Francisco Bay Area, and I am Christian Paredes, founding member of Peña Madridista Sur de California. This is Executive Madridismo. We just keep rolling, man. We just keep rolling. This is how we do. This is how we do. You know,
Well,
fantastic week.
hello, everybody. Buenos dias a todos. It's a pleasure to be here, Chris. Thank you so much for always, counting on me. It's an honor, really. I love, being a part of Executive Madridismo, whatever, little or much, my this loyal Madridista here can contribute. So, look forward to chatting a little Real Madrid. I know we have a good program ahead of us. So, let's get to it.
Absolutely. So everybody, please subscribe below, hit the notification bell if you want to get these videos right when they happen. I mean, please help us out. Please bring comments. We want to know how we're doing. What do you think you'd like to see more of? Please, we want to hear from you, obviously. Okay. This is obviously a forum. You know what I mean? Cesar. All right, man. So before we get into the game, all right, against Rayo, so I didn't see the game live. I saw the game actually this morning, a few minutes ago. I watched it, thankfully with streaming service, on ESPN Plus, you're able to watch it.
Go back.
You know what I mean? But go back, watch it if you want, right?
You're not missing the good old days when you had to use a VCR and have to use the stupid red card to rewind the tape and pop it back in and try to catch it. I mean, maybe I'm aging myself a little bit, but I still remember those days.
What is a VCR?
Oh, perhaps some of our newer audiences might not really just get that there. Do yourself a favor when you're done watching us and look at them.
Oh, I completely agree, man. I'm with you in the same wavelength, obviously. I mean, I remember those days where, it was appointment television. That's how it used to be back in the day. The game was on at a certain time. You didn't watch it then, like you missed out.
No, I remember back in my day, even back when I used to live in Mexico at that time, if I didn't catch a game whatsoever, there was a 6 o'clock every Sunday night. There was basically like a 1 hour program, just a recap of all the soccer that went on, typically based on Liga Mexico, Liga MX. And if you missed the 5 minutes where they covered European soccer, that was it. There was no more. There was no more highlights. Nothing. You got to see Madrid and the table, and that was it. So it was different times, man. With different times.
Different times. I gotta say that once the Super League gets going, I mean, you and I have been on the same wavelength on that front.
Oh.
I really believe that there will be a streaming service carrying those games, the men and women teams. So you got that streaming service, and you have ESPN Plus for the American audience. Okay, we're here in the States, and there you go. You got pretty much your Real Madrid fill on top of Real Madrid TV that we get for free on the app. So we got the coverage we need. We don't need anything else, to be quite frank, honest.
No, as a Madridista, I look forward to seeing all these new changes that are going to come up. As you mentioned, the Super League it's a reality, people. Just get it, get past it. It's no longer whether it's good or not. It's happening, and it will be good. We just need more support on it. I think that the momentum has been just rolling from the moment it actually was announced and on. And I know it went to some issues, some troubles, a little bit of court system, whatnot. It is happening, and more than anything else, I am so excited for it. I think it's literally what us as a fan could dream only about. So let's go to it.
Right. We just need FIFA to get off of their horse and help us out a bit. You see them like making that campaign for the World Cup every 2 years. Listen to the arguments. That's pretty much the arguments we heard back in March and April this year.
And to be honest, and not to get away too much from Real Madrid, but I think it would be damaging to the image and what happens if you win World Cup every 2 years. You know what I see the equivalent of, and we are seeing it today, and I hate it to this moment. All the countries that do the two tournament system, where they have a summer league and a winter league, like in South America and Mexico, they're very common. The Torneo Apertura and Clausura, things like that. I think this will be the equivalent if you look at it on a worldwide scope. And I don't like it. I think it emphasizes certain statistics and championships on teams, and it almost brushes away the tradition of you bust your rear off and you're there and you deserve to be there, and lifting that trophy every 4 years, it's such an honor to be able to do it. And I feel like it would just dilute it. And that's what I hope it doesn't do.
Yeah, yeah. I was down in Laguna Beach with another friend of mine who's a Juve and Madrid supporter, and I asked him the question, "What do you think about shrinking the time lapse between World Cups?" And he said to me, I would not mind it every 3 years, 3 times per decade." He said
Mm-hmm.
3 times per decade. When he said it like that, I thought, yeah, I'd be down with that. I'd be down with that because if you consider a career of a player in their prime, really a decade is pretty much the best you're going to get out of most players. So if you give them 3 shots at a World Cup instead of two, I would be reticent towards that. We have to figure out. You have to figure out some of the logistics, obviously, but I would actually be down with that. Yeah.
That's actually, I mean, 3 years. I think I just feel like the whole 2 years is just flat out down half. But that's a really good argument. I perhaps have not really considered as much, but no, you are very correct, and so is he. Kudos to your friend who brought that up. I think
Shout out to Cash.
Cash,
That's funny.
excellent point. Yeah, I agree. I mean, we are in a very amazing time period in football where we have seen two of the greatest soccer players that have ever played go head to head. And not only that, but then you mix in the Ibrahimovic and the Edison Cavani's and those guys that are still balling at 35, 36. Luka Modric, of course, 35, 36, 37. They're still balling like they were 10 years ago. These guys have had a tremendous fitness level that has kept them there for 15 years. That's never heard of. I mean, to this day, in many sports, football included, once you hit 30, you're already seen on the decline. You're already seen like you gave what you were going to give and hope you won something. I mean, that perception is changing a lot, and these guys are helping change it. And I think the technologies available today to be able to recoup faster and come back stronger from injuries are what's helping. But not everybody is able to just simply have their bodies be able to take that kind of abuse, because they take on some physical abuse like none of us could ever understand, and they're there the next week. It's incredible to really think about it that way.
Yeah, and also one final point on it is that you will have more probability of teams repeating as
Mm-hmm.
champions because obviously if it's every 4 years, which we have currently, having the same team 4 years older, that's very difficult. We've seen it. How many champions have we seen win it and then they don't get out of the group stage or they don't get out of the round of 16? They rarely go far in the next
Mm-hmm.
World Cup. So if you shrink it, you give that opportunity. And also, if there are players that get injured that miss a World Cup and they're in their prime of their career or whatever, they go to the next one, but they're just so much older and they're not the same player. So you give an opportunity to players to get another crack within that time frame. I mean, I think they
And,
should. I think they
and we
should.
have seen that a lot. I actually really love that point because we've seen it over and over where the repeating teams, the planets almost need to align in order for a team to repeat World Cup to World Cup. We've seen it many a times, World Cup, Euro Cup, or World Cup, Copa America, but never World Cup to World Cup. It just doesn't happen that way. Teams that win their first World Cup need to be a mixture of mainly young, explosive players. And I'm going to refer back to the most recent champion, France. I think that they came in with a new wave of players, super young at the time they won it, and they're going to go back. I'm still putting them, even after their fiasco in the last Euro Cup, I think that they have an excellent chance at taking the next World Cup in Qatar, because most of those players are still going to be in their late 20s or even some early 30s, but you can still squeeze so much. And not to mention, our future Ballon d'Or, Karim Benzema, will be there. He deserves a shot at redemption there. He should have won in the last World Cup. He should have been there.
I think my South American champion Argentina have something to say about that, but we'll leave that.
I would love to see a final like that. Can you imagine? Did you just imagine that? This is like catnip for me.
Oh, all right. We'll table that for the next time. All right, now let's go back to Madrid. This is fantastic. Glad to get your take on that, obviously. All right. So anyway, yesterday, Real played Rayo, and it was a 1 o'clock kickoff. At that time, I was over in Temecula playing golf with a fellow Pena member, Nick Ramirez. Shout out to Nick. So we're playing golf over there, and then we went to Pachanga right after. We had dinner, and we went to the blackjack table. Now, there's a blackjack that's called blazing blackjack. So you have your regular blackjack where you have the 8 decks. 8X shoe. And there's a side bet that you're allowed to do where you're betting on the dealer to bust. Now, if there are more cards that the dealer busts, then the more odds you have of winning. So if it's 6 cards, it's 12-1 odds that you get for your bet. So if you bet $5, you'll get $60 back, let's say, if there's 6 cards. So this dealer we had, not once, not twice, but 3 times came up 6-card bust.
Wow, that's amazing.
Everybody at the table was raking. They had to call over the pit boss each time to show, hey, these are the 6 cards that busted. And they're like, okay, yeah, there it is. Everybody's a winner. Like, holy smokes, we cleaned out yesterday.
Wow, that is awesome. I got to tell you, blackjack is my game of choice when I'm at a table somewhere. My not so frequent anymore visits to Vegas usually ended up at the blackjack table somewhere. Not very fun story. So somehow Vegas always found a way to get the best out of me. But wow, I've never actually played this type of blackjack. I may have to give it a shot.
Yeah, so over in Pachanga and Temecula, if you're ever back down here, Cesar, in the region, definitely we'll take a shot down there. But it's fantastic because it's you have, so the minimum is $20 in minimum for the but then for that side bet the minimum is $5, so you're betting $25 per hand. Now I was getting cards, I was getting 20s, 19s, 18s, 20s.
Oh, you were on fire.
The cards were coming. I was even doubling down when I had a 9 and there was a 10 showing and I won because they busted. So I won the double down and I won the bust. So it was like $60, $70, $80 in a hand that I would win. Right. Wow. So, I mean,
Chris, you sound like somebody I want to sit at a table with and have a nice cigar and enjoy a deck or two.
Oh, dude, it was fantastic. It felt like the movie Ocean's 11, dude. I'm not
Did you see numbers flying at you left and right?
Numbers flying everywhere, right? I mean, the table was roaring. I mean, when everyone wins, like, team effort. Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know your name, but team effort. And then we went to a single deck blackjack table. Now, this is hilarious. It's horrible, but hilarious. This guy comes from out of nowhere, and this woman's sitting next to me, and she has like a stack of $100 and $5 chips, right? And this guy comes over and says, hey, that's my money, and put his hand over those 2 stacks. And she was like, no, this is my money. And he looked, and he was at the wrong table. The table was to the left where he left his stacks. So he almost picked up her stacks.
Oh, that's crazy.
So the pit boss was like looking like this with his eyes were like doubled, like we need to call security, right?
We're about to have a situation here.
Like, the guy just had this embarrassed look on his face and like backed away, and he went right over to the other table, but didn't say anything after that. So the woman looks at me. I was like, what the hell was that?
Oh man, you know what? Most of the stories that start like that don't end up that smoothly. Typically, there's a few shouting matches in between. So I hope that it wasn't nothing too outrageous.
Oh my God! She was looking at me like, can you believe that guy? He's trying to take my money. This is my money. She's holding with both hands on 2 stacks.
Hey.
Oh Lord.
Well, I mean,
that was incredible. I couldn't believe. I never saw anything like that in my life. Never.
Good for her for just being so vocal and so on it, because I guarantee you that you go to a place and you catch somebody who's had maybe a few too many already or something like that, and people get bullied out of that, probably thinking, I was like, was I the one that messed up? I mean, and there's people out there just looking for an opportunity. So, I mean, I'm glad it was just a misunderstanding.
Yeah, and the thing is that I would never leave money on the table to go I just would not do that. I
don't trust it.
Would you do that? I mean, it was like $100.
If I'm at a table that's crowded with my people, and I'll be like, you know what, I gotta go. And even then, like, it's like sometimes you establish, and even then, like, it's hard. There's way too many eyes. It's too much of an easy grab. It's too much of an easy perception. And when you don't know anybody at the table, that's
pull your money out of there, man. No, you can't.
You might as well grab it and just throw it up in the air and see what kind of fiasco you create.
Total casino moment, right? With
absolutely,
woo,
Absolutely.
Anyway, I doubled up. So literally, the golf round was paid by the casino. Dinner was paid by the casino. Drinks were paid for by the casino, and the gas to get down there was paid by the. So it was a free trip.
Sounds like somebody played with house money yesterday.
Oh man, I walked out of there like I drove home late last night like just a huge winner. I was like, oh, I'm coming home with energy, man. Woo! And Madrid won.
You felt like the guys at the end of Ocean's 11.
Oh yeah, we got out of there. Yeah, yeah, it was great. Yeah. So anyway, that was a
What
lot.
a story, man! What a
Oh,
story.
holy smokes. I was a blast. So anyway, we got to go down there. We got to go down there. All right. Next time.
Bring it on. Let's put it on the books at some once that we get the chance.
And everybody that's watching, okay?
Hey, the more of us at the table, the more chances we get.
Executive Madridismo audience, let's do this, right? Let's do this. Let's take Pachanga on. Let's take Pachanga. All right. Anyway, let's get into Madrid. All right. So before the game against Rayo, we played Shakhtar Donetsk, Champions League. We played them 2 weeks before. We won in Ukraine 5-0, which was just a resounding victory. I mean, it was just, no contest basically. This game it was 2-1. We were tied at one point, and then we went on to win 2-1. Cesar, that game, I mean, what did you take away from it?
I took a few things. The first one, and most of all, is I love that game. It was a game with a lot of energy. It was a game with a lot of offensive power, lots of shots, lots of possession back and forth. It was the type of game that I expected out of a Champions League match. Whether Shakhtar Donetsk might be considered by some to be in a lower tier or more modest than Real Madrid just for history or players or salary, regardless of that, I thought it was a damn good game. If you look at the statistics alone, not knowing what Team A and Team B are, you'll be like, holy crap, this is a damn good game. I loved it. As a Madridista, I feel like we left a little on the table because we had some clear chances, but truth is, Shakhtar did as well. I think Shakhtar had a very bruised ego from that 5-0 defeat, and with due reason. So I knew that they were going to come in, and they're trying to salvage their Champions League season as well right now. They knew that with this loss, they're pretty much almost out of any chance of, even though the group's still fairly open, it will get very complicated for them to advance to the second round. So Real Madrid came and did what they had to do. They came in with a strong team, a good mentality, and more than anything else, they didn't let the early efforts by Shakhtar to affect their mentality, and they stuck to the game plan. I think that sticking to the game plan and just building up from on the wings, and then eventually, bam, there it goes. I think it was amazing seeing Karim Benzema score that amazing goal, that the one that means so much, the one that will put him, even though he was already going to be in the Real Madrid records for the rest of history, to be the one that puts the 1,000th goal for Real Madrid is amazing. You're now in the company of players like Di Stefano and Puskas, and obviously Cristiano twice. So the fact that Karim Benzema was able to put his name and associate it even more with them.
I think Guti
is there. Beckham is there. I believe Higuain is even there.
Okay, Raul, I think as well. I think
correct. Yeah. So there is. Pour me a double glass of bourbon and put me on a table with those, and I will have the day of my life. That's the type of company that you always want to be associated with.
I could just see the painting. Can you imagine how awesome a painting that is?
Oh my God!
Players, you know how they have iconic like a table, and they players from different eras together.
Absolutely.
That, to me, it would be a great painting. These are the guys that scored the centennial marks.
Exactly. You know what? If anybody out in the audience is an artist and is able to come up with something, somewhat of an idea, you heard it here first. 1 and 2, let me know, because I would love to put that up here somewhere. It's an amazing story.
There is a member of the Peña Windy City who's an artist, and he actually, I can't show you guys this, but hopefully soon. I have a painting of when Ronaldo scored the hat-trick goal against Wolfsburg, 2016. And I don't know if you remember the celebration. He's like kneeling to the corner, which is not his habitual celebration.
He typically never.
Go ahead.
Those are goals of euphoria. That is the just achieving that milestone. Even though he's scored so many hat tricks in his career, that sometimes the euphoria, the how hungry you were to get there, and more than that, sometimes the match just simply lends itself for you to just scream it out to the world. And I think that was one of those.
It was the free kick goal. It was the free kick goal that he shot under the wall, I believe. And so he did that, and that allowed us to advance to the semis, because we lost 2-0 in Germany, and we had to win 3-0 or more in the second leg, and we did. So that was the third goal that pretty much sealed it.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Anyway,
what a moment.
Julio Garcia, if you're watching this, that idea, right? The iconic table of the centennial milestone players. You heard it here.
You heard it here.
You heard it here. All right. Anyway, yeah. So what you were saying, I do agree. It was very competitive, but Shakhtar was. I mean, they had to put everything into that game because they lost 5-0. There was pride in their minds, but they had to save whatever chance they had. And now it looks like they're probably going to try to fight to go to Europa League. That'd be their one best chance of getting into it. I considered Shakhtar. I mean, aside from the game in the Ukraine, I just think it's a bad matchup for us because Shakhtar has a lot of Brazilian players that have a lot of athletic ability with their speed and with their ball handling. If they put some passes together and they free up in space, it causes us a lot of problems. And we saw that in this game. I mean, the end lines, they pretty much had free reign, which was very hard to watch.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And the goalie for them stopped two Luka Modric goals. Luka Modric should have had 2 goals.
Yeah. When was the last time you saw Luka Modric score a brace?
Yeah, exactly. We could have had
I'm telling you, it was an amazing game, and I was talking with Nacho and Real Madrid Extra on our episode last Wednesday. Nacho Mendez, saludos Nacho. And we were going at it. Just his point. He was like, no, it was a result that is just masked up by the win, but it's not really what we expected. He was seeing it from the very Madridista side, and I saw it from the point of opinion of a football fan, but also as a Madridista, I was like, I am okay winning that because the thing is, we sometimes I feel like we overlook certain teams, and Shakhtar is one of them because they're a tough team. They play in a league in Ukraine where most of us don't know a single other team outside of that, or that we may know only a couple of players. But I guarantee you, if Shakhtar, as it sits right now, played in a league like La Liga per se, that would be a top 5 team out there. I think that I see them as one of those teams that just consistently just take jabs right on the side, and they know how to get you. And they have good players. They don't have the spotlight the way other teams do in other leagues.
I would say they have like B-list Brazilian talents. Like the A-listers are the ones that we know.
Mm-hmm.
These are not household names, but they're still good. They're very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, your point about them, if they were in La Liga, well, I mean, come on, they're in Champions League. They're top of their domestic league. They earn the right to be there.
Absolutely.
Under the current system. Okay, we're talking about the current system. Yeah, they earn the right to be there. They were in the semifinals of Europa League a year ago. 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Anyway, 2020 last summer. Okay. So yeah. Okay, I mean, unfortunately, Nacho is not here, unfortunately. But the one thing I would respond to that, I watched that episode. I saw where he was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
However, you cannot expect Madrid to win 6-0 every single game. It's impossible,
and especially in Champions League. And that was my point about it. It was a very competitive game, and I liked it. I like games like that, regardless of the teams playing, because they suck you in, and you are there watching, and your enthusiasm and your basically your will to just scream out loud goal is just there because it's such a captivating game, and that's what I loved about it. I really we came out with the 3 points, and more than anything else, I feel like it was definitely the result that we needed, not that we wanted, that we needed, right. But 2, it's shaping up this group to come down to match day 6 and still have nothing resolved.
Yeah. It's just, the problem is that you have a lot of elements in the press that try to put this standard where Madrid have to win 6-0 and have 100% possession, have to have 20 shots on goal. They have to have no shots against them and clean sheet it's just this perfection standard. And if you don't meet that, then they have free reign to criticize beyond objectiveness, which I don't agree with. I don't think that's right. Objective criticism is one thing, but then the other angle, as we go, we see time and time again on social media and on major outlets, that's just, it's counterproductive. It's just, you have to understand these are human beings. They are the best of the best, obviously. Madrid, I mean, we pride ourselves in having the best talent, having the best manager, having the most competitive team every single season. We try to go after that, but it's just this whole thing about, well, yeah, we won, but I mean, it's like we won, but no, winning is the key. You have to win. I mean, you win and then you can spotlight here and there, but to say that, well, I didn't like the way we won, because I'm like, come
A
on,
tough
dude.
cookie, bro. Tough cookie. And you know what? Even Ancelotti has said it. It was like if it comes down to play well or take the victory, I will take the victory 3 out of 3. I was like, there's a saying in Spanish that goes, it's like jugar bonito y ganar. Playing well, playing like just the pretty game and still winning and scoring many. And like very few teams have the opportunity to do that. And if you're doing that, you're probably in the wrong league where you have very little opposition.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't want to fall into that narrative and that whole prism, which is our eternal rival to the East. You know who we're talking about. I mean, that's their narrative. Let them handle that. And that Juar Bonito, whatever, how's that going for them? Ninth place, 500 ball club. Anyway, thank you, Celta Vigo.
Oh, Isco, I mean, Iago Aspas once again proved that he loves Celta, 1, but 2, Iago Aspas was destined for a much bigger club to win much bigger things, but his passion for Celta is the reason why he stayed there. But God,
he reminds me.
He's done it twice in 3 years to Barca.
Yeah,
twice in 3 years.
Oh yeah, he reminds me of Reggie Miller from the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
He just does for some reason. Like he's a bona fide franchise player. He could win so much elsewhere, being another great player on a great team. But he's there and he does what he does and he brings in the audience. He gives them a shot at being competitive every game. Like, yeah.
No, he loves his Gallego team, and you know what? Much more respect for that. Much more respect for that.
Exactly. So anyway, that's 3-3 ties Celta and Barcelona, which helps us out a lot and keeps them down there in the doldrums of the middle of the table, which is, let them stay there. Anyway, moving on. Sheriff losing at home to Inter 3-1. What do you make of that result? Is that good for us or bad for us?
No, that to me, that is the worst possible result we could have got. Again, considering that Sheriff, we're coming in as the number 1 team in the group,
right?
But I think it just complicated the top much more because had Sheriff won this game, it just leaves Real Madrid and Sheriff to battle out for first place with 2 games to go, and pretty much third place is for Shakhtar and Inter to figure out. But now with this type of result, now nobody has guaranteed the first place. I get it. We still have 2 games to go, but I think Sheriff is likely could take those 3 points away from Shakhtar, which puts them up on top. So it forces us to have to win, and I expect us to win against both Sheriff and Inter, especially if we want to make sure that we eliminate one of those 2 potential possibilities. Now, I would have liked for the team to resolve. The way I see it is, once again, I refer back to Nacho because he had that same point, and we had different views on it. And my point to Nacho was, I don't want to come down to match day 6 like we did last year and not know whether we were going to end up in Europa League or first place. Things worked out. The team came up on top the way we wanted him and expected him to. But soccer is tricky. Football is very, very, very tricky, and sometimes it doesn't go the way you want. This group is shaping up to be to basically come down to a battle royale on match day 6.
And at that point, so we would have Sheriff now on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving Day, on the road. Mm-hmm. That's a big game, and then
that's a big trip.
And then Inter hosting Shakhtar Donetsk. So let's say Inter wins that game, that would be that's a bad result.
Yes, it is, especially if we can't handle business. It would force us to beat Sheriff at home, which again, in the narrative of his history and margins of team and salaries and all, it should be a no-brainer. Clearly, Sheriff showed us that doesn't matter to them. They are playing with house money from week 1, I believe. Yeah, and Real Madrid needs to not make the same mistakes they did in the first game.
No, I don't think we're going to make the. I mean, I'm not going to say the same mistakes. I won't say that. But what I say is that I think they're going to take it more seriously.
They have to.
I don't know if, correct me if I'm wrong in this, I don't think a tie is that bad.
You know what? Well, I've always seen it this way, and if you handle your business at home and take at least ties away on the road, you are going to be just fine in Champions League. A tie would be fine because it would already put us 1 point above, and even if Inter wins, it still leaves us at the top.
Right, because we're at 9, and we get to 10. right? So we would probably most likely be second place by that point, depending on what happens with Inter and Shakhtar Donetsk in Milan. But then the sixth game, Sheriff and Shakhtar play in Sheriff Tiraspol in Moldova, and we play Inter at home. Now we already beat Inter in Milan, so what I'm saying is we tie Sheriff, for example, and we beat Inter at home, we're free and clear. At that point, we'd have 13 points and we would be first place. That would be
Yeah,
the roadmap. I mean, one of the roadmaps. It'd be nice
and
to win both, but I'm just saying.
it's a good map. But once again, going back to the potential sequence of games, and I like your point. Let's say that Inter wins and we just take 1 point from Sheriff, right? So that puts us at 10. Inter goes to 10. Sheriff goes to 7. That leaves Shakhtar with nothing left to lose, but giving Sheriff all the enthusiasm and the will to have to go and just pound on Shakhtar if they want to advance, because that means that they would be with the opportunity to still tie up depending on what's going to happen between Real Madrid and Inter. So it would force us to take at least a point out of Inter, but if not win. And with us playing at home and the way we're playing this last 2 weeks, I don't think it should be super difficult to get that result. But again, coming down to weekday 6 with all these options for everybody, it makes people a little uneasy. And I don't want to have to go in the way I felt last year, because I think that maybe I got a little PTSD. It got a little ugly, but the team was playing much different then than it is now.
Well, last year we won the group, I believe, and then we played Atalanta on the road, and then he had a return leg at home.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we had we had Liverpool at home and then on the road. So we had the advantage there. And then Chelsea, we played at home and then
Away.
away second leg. So the key here, I think, for people that don't understand, there's still fans that don't understand the Champions League format. They don't understand that the difference between first and second place.
It's huge.
It's huge. Because if you look at the pool of teams between the first place right now and second place, you're no doubt about it. I want to finish first place. Do you want to play Bayern Munich in the round of 16? No, I do not want to play them in the round of 16.
There's already one ugly match for someone in the round of 16. You're going to end up with PSG or with Manchester City. That is no doubt. It's going to happen. But again, like the way you mentioned, is there is a bunch of other teams that I don't like them either, but somebody's going to have to dance with one of them. Yeah. But yeah, there's Bayern Munich, who's literally steamrolling against everyone. Ajax is already almost guaranteed first place. Yeah. Liverpool is up there. There's so many teams, and there could still be quite a difference in change in the way that things are going to shape up. But you don't want to end up second this year. I think there's way too many teams that are that great at ending up first.
And what we also need to point out is the round of 16. It isn't we play them 1 week and we play them another week. No, you play them 1 week and then you don't play them for another 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows how your team is fitness-wise, because at that point in the calendar, we have Copa del Rey that is finishing up. So you don't know how the team is going to be after Liga Copa combo that we do in January. So the round of 16 is a dangerous round if we're playing a team that we have to play at home first and then on the road second leg.
Not only that, so the group stage finishes just coming up here in a few weeks. And then, like I said, there's a winter break. There's an entire transfer market that opens up in January. That could shape up any team in so many different ways coming, that Valentine's Day return or around that week for the Champions League. And then again, like I said, game 1, and then there's still a gap in between, and then there's game 2. So much could happen. There's just so many possibilities. You cannot take chances. You got to handle business from day 1.
Exactly. Well, we'll see what happens. There. So let's shift gears now. Let's go back to La Liga. So we had Rayo Vallecano, which and coincidentally, they beat Barcelona 1-0 at home, which led to the demise of Senor Koeman, so he's no longer a manager for Barcelona. So you have Falcao, who didn't start the game, which was a little bit of a surprise. I don't know. Was that a surprise?
I thought so too.
That was a surprise in our eyes. And we won the game 2-1. It was I thought, this game, Rayo, they're high press. I was like, how in the world are you guys going to keep this up for 90 minutes?
And you know what? And I listened to Fernando Palomo and my one of my all-time great idols for Real Madrid, Hugo Sanchez. Reason why I became a Real Madrid fan, narrating the Spanish version of La Liga yesterday, and they were talking about this alongside with Martin Ice, and they're like, very few teams have the socks to come to the Bernabeu and play that high pressure and sustain it for 90 minutes. Because even though Real Madrid could have gone to at half with a 4-0 lead, we let them come back around, and it was because they didn't let get toyed around that they were able to come back, and we ended up looking at the watch, calling out for the final whistle.
Yeah. You know what? It's just these type of games. You're right before a FIFA break. You had a Champions League game early in the week. Rayo was well rested. See, this is a trap game. These are one of those situations where you have a trap game, where you have a bigger game in the middle of the week. The other team has a whole week to rest and prepare, right? It's just, unfortunately, this is the price that we pay for competing for the highest competition.
Absolutely.
This is part of the game for us.
Yeah.
Rayo is on a different table than we are. Now they're doing pretty well right now. They're like in 5th place, I believe. They're right there.
Yeah, they're in the top quarter.
Top 4, even better. Thank you for correcting me there. I mean, for crying out loud, they're in Champions League zone, for the moment. So they're having a good start to the season. Tony Cruz had an amazing game.
Him and Vinicius. I think those two are the most informed players.
Yes, those guys. Mendy looked really good moving up the field. He was really poor on passing, getting the ball out of the back. I mean, I don't know how many times I counted where Casemiro blows a pass or he almost gives it away. Mendy tries to pass it across the field and it goes to nobody. I'm like, what is going on with you guys back there? You don't know how to play from the back with the high press? Like, don't you guys practice that stuff?
Yeah, and you would think they do, and I know they do, and it might go back to the whole. We have a brand new defense in many ways.
Yeah.
I get that, and Mendy's coming from not playing for like 4 or 5 months. I get that as well, but this is not something new on Mendy. I've seen this in Mendy for his whole time at Real Madrid, where he is a freight train going up and down that left flank. That is undoubtedly one of his best qualities. Yes. Passing the ball, I see in Mendy his touch for passing the way I saw Vinicius's lack of finishing last year or the year before that, where he was getting it all done and then he was just blowing it at the end. Now I know that I've seen Mendy play much better than this, and I think he will. But it's just, it puts us in a situation where we end up having uneasy moments or uneasy games because of that. And kudos to Casemiro out there, because I saw him just tackle the heck out of everybody, also catching up some of those mistakes or some of those ugly rebounds and 50-50s that he was just doing. But yeah. I don't like not having to put so much effort to get out of our front court.
Yeah. Alaba and Militao coming up the field make me very nervous, because if we lose the ball and they go the other way, Casemiro has to tackle rugby tackle the guy.
Casemiro's a red card waiting to happen if that's the case.
Like that I just see that like, no, look, I understand the element of surprise. I understand, but not numerous times where you're going up the field with no path, with no, like, where are you going? Like, I remember Militao had the ball and he's dribbling it up and he's passing through the midfield.
He went 3/4 up.
But there's nobody accompanying him. I'm like, where are you going? And he gets bailed out. There was a foul that they called. So I was like, oh, thank you for the bailout foul.
He stayed there. He didn't go back right away. But you know what? To also give him due credit, I like that they have that change of pace coming from the defense. It tells the team something. If I'm having the ability, the will, the guts, whatever you want to call it, to come up, you should do the same, because you're playing ahead of me. So you should keep pushing forward. I'm setting the example. Whether it works or not, different story. But they're pushing from behind. Now, let me tell you, that pass that David Alaba gave, it's not the first time we've seen it this year. It's the second time, if not the third, that I've seen him put a pass. Literally, it almost like he threw it with his hand and it ended up in the back of the net. Alaba is showing us that he is a top-notch, world-class defender, and the Real Madrid crest and that shirt fit him really well.
Yeah. Just a little more cohesion with his teammates in the back.
A little more Spanish will help him understand, because let's
More.
remember, he's the only one that doesn't really, I mean, outside of Tony Kroos, when he first came on board, he probably couldn't really talk with anyone much more than a couple words. And so it takes some time to develop the verbal chemistry, but also the physical and the football chemistry. It takes a long time, because we're coming from basically losing both Varane and Ramos for what is it, 10 years per se. So having these two new ones, even though Militao finished the season really strong, it's a brand new center back, and it will take time to do well. And they're doing well. A little by little, I'm starting to feel a lot more confident with them sitting in the back, but they're still showing some glares and some mistakes. The way they're just kind of getting eaten up in that offside trap.
Yeah. Now, maybe you can help me understand this. The Cruz goal initially was called offsides initially, and then they gave it. Now, why? Okay, they let other goals go, and they review it before they kick the ball again. But in many situations, we've seen the offside call, even when the goal goes, and they prevent the celebration, and everyone's confused, and then they do this. Oh, well, hang on, we have to review it. Oh, it is a goal. Like, why don't they just let the play go? And if it is a goal, you review it. Just let the play go.
I think it's a very touchy subject, one, and two, it also has to do with the referee group that's at the helm. I want to say the reason why they stopped it, I didn't really clearly see the linesman actually raise his flag initially when Vinicius touches the ball, because if that had been the case, it would have ended the play right there. But I agree. If they let the play continue and eventually ended up in goal, and then somehow they called it back, it's kind of dumb that they just kill the momentum, because it also kills the potential momentum the team will build up, especially if there's a goal right there. Yes, they all got to celebrate, but the way you see it is it kills the fan moment as well.
Yeah, and it's just, you hear people upset about VAR for many different reasons. Obviously, some of them are founded, some of them are unfounded. But I'm not going to go into that. What I'm saying is that you're trying to prevent the stoppage of play. One of those ways is this way: if there's a play occurring to get to a goal and a goal is scored, you let the celebration happen before you kick the ball off. You give the guys in the booth the 2 minutes to review it for any fouls, any offsides. You wait.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait, and then you kick it or not, whatever. But don't ruin the moment.
Absolutely. And this whole offsides, I think it's just been under a lot of scrutiny lately. It goes back even to the Nations League final recently, where Mbappe is clearly an offside, and it's awarded the goal anyway because of whatever rule and loophole that is probably going to get tightened up over the offseason. But things like that, it's like there's so many different angles that different referee groups or VAR groups are going to look at it. This is why people hate VAR, because it's not one single set of rules. It's up to the interpretation of those that are looking at it. You wanted to make it simple in an offside thing, the same way they use those little tank tops with the chip on the back to make sure where the player is located and figure out how much they're running and whatnot. Put one on every player and say, moving forward, this is how we're going to look at it. Depending on where the chips at, call it that. If you want to call it even, that will do, because now you're always to interpretation. Is it the arm? Is it the leg? Is it the head? Like, what is it that really counts? And I feel like every referee group has a different way to validate it, and regardless of the positioning, it makes no sense.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I just, okay, we're both living in the States. Okay, we're coming from an American perspective here, where common sense is what's supposed to reign. I'm talking just in this arena, okay? Not anything else, just here. Okay. The NFL instituting a replay system, it was initially controversial, because it's a new thing, but it's been mastered. Nobody questions it. Because the procedure is rigid, it makes sense, everyone buys into it. For example, here's one detail. Let's say there's a play that happens, and there's there's a foul, that not a foul. Let's say that the ball was either out of bounds or inbounds, for example, right? So they have the booth review it. When the booth makes the call, the ump in the field makes the announcement to the stadium, like, after review of the play, blah, 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 blah. Okay, ball
You get
goes
an explanation.
explanation. Now in soccer, let's go back to soccer now. What is the procedure? The procedure is you have the booth review, but they don't have apparently the final say. It's the guy in the field that has the final say. And then he makes a call and then runs off and they start playing again. And everyone in the stadium is like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, and this is why I absolutely dislike VAR the way it stands today. I feel like it's created more issues than it has solved. And the bigger issue on that is it is not unanimous across the entire world. It's like every country applies VAR the way they want to.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then why even have VAR?
Isn't that great, right?
You know what? I think you and I should be in a booth one day and be like, no, that's not it, and just go at it. I would love to see the two VAR refs just go at it disagreeing.
I mean, you're at the mercy of the country you're in. I mean, it's like, I don't know.
I hope the Superliga fixes this problem and says, this is what it is regardless of where you play. Call it a day.
Dude, the super, I don't want to go, I don't, look.
I keep going back to it. I'm sorry.
I know, no, and it's not your fault. It's just that, look, the Super League is modeled after the NFL. All right, everybody watching, it's modeled after the NFL. For those of you that love the NFL, you should love the Super League concept. End of story. Now, are the details not ironed out? Absolutely, they're not. No, of course not. But the model, look at the NFL model. Look how great that league goes. 30 teams, not in all big cities, right? They all compete with each other. They all split the money equally until the prize money later. Like, and they have the three channels. That's all. 3. And you know what time they play. You're not confused about what streaming service or what channel it's on.
No, that's it. That's it. 3 channels.
How many times, Cesar, how many times have members come and say, what channel's the game on? Where's the game being shown? What time is the game? People are confused.
Every single week.
And we follow the team religiously.
Week in and week out is the same issue. And it's not just us or you guys.
I apologize for unloading on you. That was event mode. I'm sorry.
So a little steam come off on the side.
Okay, I need to center myself. Okay. Anyway. Get me on ESPN. I will smoke all those guys.
One day, Chris. One day.
Woo! Anyway.
When the moment comes, don't forget about us little people.
I will not. Absolutely will not, man. I have a number of people I know in certain avenues and certain places, and I just roll my eyes, man. But you know what? They have the final word because they have so many followers, and I'm modest one guy.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there in time, man, in time. So anyway, wrapping it up with Rayo. I mean, Falcao had a nice goal. Now his goal was a header like we've seen before, where it's a power header down, right? And it gets deflected. But fair enough, it got deflected. That goal, I mean, was that a cavalcade of errors, or was that just good positioning by him, awareness? I mean, how do you digest that one?
That's a killer mode. I mean, he is El Tigre for a reason. He devours goals. He is not a poacher. He is a finisher. He is someone of the likes of Edison Cavani, someone of the likes of Lewandowski, and that instinct. Like they know where to be. They know how to position themselves because they've practiced and seen these plays over and over and over throughout their careers. So that's why it shook me that he was not in the starting lineup. I thought maybe he sounded like something came up last minute. And he was maybe banged up, something happened, because I got a feeling that they would have perhaps been a little more offensive and more dangerous most of the game had him been on the floor. I get it. He's 35. He is not at the same physical rhythm as some other players at that age. And I'm going to put him to Luka Modric, who's playing 90 minutes almost week in and week out. But Falcao still has that killer instinct. And that as a forward, that is lethal regardless of how many minutes or how many balls you get facing towards the enemy.
Iraola, who's the youngest manager, I think I heard in La Liga now, he's kicking himself. I think, in his head, possibly, there probably are thoughts of why didn't I play him the whole 90? It's not like they played in the middle of the week.
No. So he has a whole week to recoup.
What are you reserving him for? Like, this is a game where you actually need your best guns the whole game to get a result against us.
Yeah, and not that I want to play devil's advocate, but I am. As him as a coach for Rayo, what does he care if Falcao gets called up to Colombia and and suddenly he doesn't perform that well with Colombia? your team and Rayo, who is the one that's paying him, he should be given everything for your team. So put him in there, wear him out through 90 plus 2, and then figure out if he can go perform in Colombia or not. That's for him to decide.
In this game, yes, against Real Madrid twice. See, these are the games for Rayo, the Rajos of the world, let's say. These are the games that you circle in red in your calendar. These games, because you know that these are the games where it's the largest audience you're going to get. Largest audience, and you want to showcase your team to the world. You want to get that result that's going to get talked about. If you do, anyway, he didn't get the result. So now we're at 27, and Real Sociedad played
tied.
They what?
I believe they tied, didn't they? I thought they were down at 25 points.
Okay, so I don't have.
Don't quote me on it yet.
All right, this is live, guys. All right, we're checking it out. Cesar, I don't have my phone on me, so maybe you could bring.
Yeah, let me dig in. So because I want to say that I saw that Real Sociedad was sitting at 25.
Yeah, because they're supposed to play today. Because we basically, like they say in Spain, we went to sleep as leaders. I love how they.
That's why I was looking at the live standings. Real Sociedad right now is tied with Osasuna at 0-0 at 64 minutes in. So if the result stands, we will end up as leaders with 27, with Real Sociedad with 25. That's why I literally just saw it right before we came on the show. That's why I was like, oh, did they tie? I thought they had already played this morning.
Well, there still is time for them to tie or lose.
Exactly.
Ahead. And then there's another game, Valencia Atletico, and this is a big game for Atletico. Because these type of in La Liga, you if you're trying to win the title, road victories for some reason count a little bit more, not points wise, but just for momentum, for confidence for the team. And Valencia, I mean, they're a team that's they're pesky. That's the best way to say it. They're just pesky.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But we're at 27 points. We have 11 victories in the season, 3 ties, 2 losses. I think that's a good record so far for our team with a new manager.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're doing a lot better than I expected us to do. I know that Carleto's a coach that I see a different Carleto than I saw a few years back when his first season was amazing. Obviously, we capped it off with the Champions League, but the following year after that, I feel like he became predictive, repetitive, and just there was something missing. I see a different Carleto this year. I see him more vocal. Yeah. I see him also the way he explains himself in the. I don't see him being afraid of saying certain things on the press conference. The way he said it about players like Eden Hazard or even Gary Bell, where he says, he basically stated that he plays those that deserve to play and those that are a better fit, and players should be fine to get pissed that they're not playing, that they get subbed out. These things don't get said very often, but this is on the money. This sends a message to those that play and those that don't play.
Yeah. One thing I noticed differently than his first stint is he's rotating a lot better.
Yeah. That's the one thing that when I mentioned that he became repetitive, he kept putting in the same three, and they were always at the 75th, 80th, and 85th minute. Every single, like literally, we could have called it almost a week in and week out saying, here goes player A, goes player D now, and whatnot. And that is one of the biggest change we saw when Zidane took over after him, because Zidane built that amazing B team we had that year, and it was because he started rotating other players that weren't considered for now. And while I get that this year Carleto has a few players that he just flat out doesn't play anymore, I think these are also the players that they're on they have a foot and about 3 toes already outside of Madrid, and they're either heading out this January, or perhaps some might be feisty enough that want to stick it out till the end of the year, aka the Marianos of the world, that even though they've been told that there's opportunities elsewhere, they just choose to stay. And I mean, with all due respect to them, and I know it's part of their contract, but me as a player, I would hate to be rotting on the bench somewhere, knowing that perhaps some of my best years are being just wasted professionally for me, sitting in a bench when I could be getting some more playtime somewhere else.
Well, that's the sacrifice that you sign up for. I mean, that's one of the core values of being a Madridista. You got sacrifice, you got leadership, you've got humility, you've got entrega. What's that in English? Entrega.
What would be a good word to
entrega? Compromise.
Compromise would be a good way to put it.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Fair enough. Compromise. It's just the team. It's about the team. About the team. I mean, you
Mhm.
bring your individual greatness, but the team is what is greater beyond all. So we got Granada in 2 weeks. What do you think of that matchup?
Another tough team, a modest team coming up, but another tough game regardless. Again, the likes of what we saw against Osasuna last week. Those teams that they circle or match day in red, and they know that anything above a tie is positive points for them, obviously, because they're sometimes often enough they're not expected to win, but they know they can do damage, and they know they're coming up from a period of rest. I mean, Real Madrid is really not. They may not be giving a lot of players to the Spanish national team, but almost every other country that has players in Real Madrid will be calling up theirs. So, one, I hope that the injury bug respects us enough to come back and not, if 7 players go out, we don't come back with 5 straight to the infirmary, because this happened. I feel like every time most of the players come back tocados somehow, and hopefully this time it helps us, because Granada is not an easy team. I feel like they'll play a defensive, but almost a counterattack style against us, knowing that we could come back slightly banged up.
This is the perfect time for them to play us.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. They have 2 weeks to prepare for the game, and we have 3 days. Number one. Number two, we have a Champions League game that's crucial 3 days later on the road. So
in their eyes, they're looking like we might be playing our softest squad, knowing that that we have too big. Yeah,
I wouldn't be number one. I wouldn't be surprised. Number two, I would actually prefer us to put some reserves in there, because look, in the grand scheme of things, does a win against Sheriff at the moment, is that take precedent over a win against Granada? I say yes, it does.
absolutely.
Yes, it does. Every Madridista that knows the competitiveness of the season should agree with that. I think. Hey, we want to win every game. Every fan says it. Even the ones that follow losing franchises, they all say it. We just, that's, you have to pick and choose. You have to pick and choose, So yeah, it's a trap game again, another trap game because of the FIFA break. And then we have a Champions League road game against Sheriff. So that, yeah, I think there will be some rotations. I think Camavinga will play. He'll start again. He started this game against Rayo, which I thought was good. He's coming into his own. I still, he did better this game in recuperating possession or pressuring. There were other games where he was offensively fine, but defensively kind of lost. I'm not sure he didn't.
He had one play that reminded me of the mastermind. That reminded me of Zizou. He had a pirouette, and when I saw that, I literally looked at it. I'm like, it's gotta be that French gene. It has to be. Camavinga, he's young. Just remember, he's 18.
I know he's 18. I'm not. No.
And it's expected. He is sinning of being young in a squad full of senior, very seasoned players. He is trying to establish himself. He's trying to come into his own rhythm. He's trying to figure out where he fits exactly. He knows he's not in the starting lineup at this point, but he knows he needs minutes in order to establish himself to get there. The moment that the Luka Modric and the Toni Krosses of the world or the team are no longer there or can no longer play week in and week out. I mean, at this point, Luka Modric, even though he's playing so many minutes, we know that he is not. I'm not saying he's not fit. He's just, I don't know that he gives you enough to play 90 after 90 after 90 in 7 days.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Now we're at 11 o'clock. I know that there's, obligations on both ends here. So we're trying to wrap this up here. It's been a phenomenal episode. But before we do, Cesar, I know you're a Sopranos aficionado like me.
Totally.
So what I recommend you get when you can, it's already out, is the Woke Up This Morning, the definitive oral history of The Sopranos by Mr. Michael Imperioli and Steve Sciarippa. And this book, I got this book signed by the two.
No way.
So this is a book that is interviews. It has stories. It's everything about The Sopranos that you wanted to find out. This is a book that I would recommend everyone get if you're Sopranos aficionado. It's available on Amazon. It's $37-40 and 500 pages with some really nice photos too. So
That's awesome. What
yeah.
a, you know what? After seeing the movie and seeing it again, it made. I think I'm going to go back and give the show one more run just because it's that amazing of a show. It's literally.
If you're gonna rewatch this, I recommend this too. Watch an episode and then watch Talking Sopranos podcast right after when they talk about that episode, because they review every episode of the series, and they have the script in front of them and they literally go through the scenes.
They break it down.
They break it down, and it's these two guys, like Christopher Moltisanti and Bobby Bacala, the guys that played those two characters. They do the podcast, and they have interviews with cast members, crew members, celebrity fans, regular super fans like us. Their podcast is almost ending because now they're in the second part of season 6.
Okay.
Right now, so they got like 4 or 5 episodes to review. So it's almost over, but all the episodes are on YouTube, Spotify. It's been a joy. I mean, Sunday night. You remember, Cesar? Sunday night, that was HBO. HBO owned Sunday nights in the 2000s.
And they've done it over and over with multiple shows. They did it with Entourage. They did it with Game of Thrones. They've had a bunch of other really good series.
Curb
Your Enthusiasm. Even Veep was actually really good. Depending on the kind of shows you like, they have had something to captivate you week in and week out. HBO has been amazing, and Sopranos, absolutely one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Absolutely. So anyway, I recommend you get the book. Everyone's watching. Get this book of Your Soprano. Woke Up This Morning. It's fantastic. I started looking at it. Really great.
I'm listening to the song in my head as you're talking.
I think, you know what, I'm going to take a hunch. Many Saints of Newark, I think they're going to get nominated to some Oscars, and it wouldn't surprise me if the song got nominated. Can you imagine the opening song of the Oscars is Woke Up This Morning?
You know what? Put it, not only that, put it this way, that would be a huge tribute to James Gandolfini.
Yeah. Yes.
Just like that.
Remember Bohemian Rhapsody when they came out and Queen played 2 songs, We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions.
We Are the Champions.
They had the image of Freddie Mercury. That was a phenomenal tribute.
Absolutely. Probably one of my favorite bands of all time, Queen. I mean, if I ever had the opportunity to see one band who no longer exists, well, the band exists, Freddie no longer is here, but you know where I'm going with this. It would be Queen, hands down. There's very few other people that I would pick to just sit there and just enjoy their glory and that talent and that gift that they had for us.
Yeah, they were performing over here at the Forum, and it was like $300. I mean, like the.
Oh no, yeah, they're not a cheap audience.
Like, I wanted to go, and I was like, "What? How much? Jeez!" I mean,
you know what?
Didn't they coming back?
Didn't they have a residency in Vegas for a while?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
This is what I'm talking.
I mean, Britney Spears
ages ago. It was pre-COVID, so it feels like it was a lifetime ago.
Look, if Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys can have a residency, so can Queen.
True that. Hey, for those Adele fans out there, I hear that Adele's actually coming up with the residency, and she does not perform live too much. So if you're an Adele fan, start thinking about going to Vegas sometime next year.
And one final surprise announcement for everyone watching. I will be in Dallas, Texas. The Managing Madrid World Tour is getting a stop in the Lone Star State in Big D, Saturday, November 20th. And we have the location confirmed. Keon and Matt Wiltz, who had the episode over here September, and Kenneth Jamora, former chairman of Pena San Francisco Bay Area, was in attendance. And the first episode was in LA. In October, they were in Toronto, and now they're hitting Dallas November 20th, Saturday night. I'll be in attendance as a guest as well. So the link to buy tickets will be in the description of this episode. So I would recommend everyone that lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in Texas, anyone that's going to travel in, please get the tickets. It's going to be a phenomenal time. So, hopefully we get some, exposed Madridismo in Texas, and
that's
show
awesome.
So we're going to have an episode. I'm going to be there at the same time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So just wanted to let everyone know, Saturday, November 20th, Managing Madrid World Tour is going to be in Dallas, and I will be there as well. So the link will be in the description.
Check it out. It will be a blast.
All right, man. Cesar, let's wrap this up. So you have a final note for our audience before we close up?
Well, get ready. Champions League is shaping up really well. I'm really excited to see how the group's going to turn out. The La Liga is shaping up very competitively among those that do belong to be up at the top. The one team is sitting right now in like 9th, 10th place. He can stay down there. I don't really care for them. But no, and regardless, I think this league should be ours. This league, the way we're playing, with some of the changes that should be coming up with some new players, get excited. Real Madridistas. Real Madrid is doing the right things. Real Madrid will be stepping up more than anything else. We're going for 35 this year. So
Right.
get ready.
What are the social media handles to follow Pena San Francisco Bay Area? Drop.
You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and also in Twitter by following at Madridistas SF, Madridistas as in plural, SF. You can find us there. Feel free to drop us a like and a share also with those. I also participate in a couple other podcasts, so feel free to follow up with those. You can follow us at RM Extra. That is a Wednesday night podcast we do with Nacho from Peña Providence.
Yeah.
Huge shout out to Nacho, always a good friend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cesar. I really appreciate your time. Really appreciate your passion, the knowledge. It's a great chance. It's a great chance to connect. This really is awesome. I love it very much. I mean, I'm grateful to have you on the show. I hope to have you on again very, very soon. Everybody watching, also follow Peña Madridista Sur de California at RM Sur California, RM Sur California on Twitter, and also in Instagram. And we're on Facebook, LPMSC on Facebook. So please follow us there. Where are you guys meeting, by the way? You guys have a new location?
We are kind of in and out of places right now. Our headquarters right now, the Chieftain Irish Pub. Shout out to Mark and the staff there. They are back on in business. They continue to be our headquarters, as they have for several years now. They were basically shut down throughout the entire COVID pandemic, or the thick of it anyway. They come back on the restricted hours, so we are missing most of the morning games. So we have an alternative venue, which is McTeague's out in Polk Street, and they have been amazing. They received us there for the Clásico, and they're always happy to have us there. Beautiful back room that they present. So we're working with two venues. Follow us on social media. We create always events on through our pages, and we share them in all those. So open enrollment is currently happening. We have a couple of incentives for new members, so please do come up. Follow us. Any of us personally will be happy to direct you in the best way to get your membership completed.
Yeah, and everyone, please, and your Peña, please stay safe. We got the winter months coming. Temperatures are cooling down. Weather's going to get a little bit more ambiguous. We got to take care of each other. We got to take care of ourselves and each other coming up. Okay, so I really want everyone to be safe and be well up in San Francisco, as also where everyone is coming from watching this episode. Thank you so much, Cesar. I'll see you very soon. Okay, buddy?
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I appreciate your time, and always it's an honor to be here.
All right.